This is the ROS Developers Podcast, episode 62.
The ROS Developers Podcast, the ROS Developers. The ROS Developers Podcast, the ROS Developers.
Hello, ROS developers, and welcome to the ROS Developers Podcast, the podcast that gives you insights from the experts about how to program your robots with ROS. This is Ricardo Tellez from The Construct. And today, I would like to dedicate this episode to all those ROS developers that attended the ROSCON 2019. It was some weeks ago. And I can tell you that it was the best ROSCON ever. I hope that if you were there, you enjoyed it as much as I did, because it was amazing, and that you learned as much as I did also. And I mean, you can learn so much in such conference that at the end of the day, you can feel like your brain cannot handle anymore. So it was amazing. So this episode is dedicated to you guys. Today we are going to talk to one of the ROS students that attended to the last ROSCON. And she attended to the ROSCON thanks to the diversity scholarship that Open Robotics is providing for the ROSCON. But before going into that, let me remind you about our ROS Online Academy. Yes, at the Construct, we have created an online academy which is named the Robot Ignite Academy, and this academy provides a ROS learning path for beginners. So if you are beginners, you can follow our guided path, and we'll be starting by teaching you about Linux and Python for robotics, and then we continue teaching you all the basic ROS concepts required to become a master of ROS. So we conclude also with a course that teaches you how to build your own robot from scratch and how to ROSify it, adding ROS control and some everything that you need in order to control that robot with ROS. So finally, you become a ROS developer, like this, the title of this podcast. That's it. So I will put a link to the academy in the show notes, and just to let you know, the link is robotignite.academy. That is it. It is. Okay, so now it's time that we start to talk with our invited person, and it is my pleasure to introduce you to Drashti Patel. Drashti is a master's student of the Master of Science and Computer Engineering of the New Jersey Institute of Technology in the New Jersey State in the USA. There, she also works as a teaching assistant. About what? Don't know. She's going to tell us today. And she's also a ROS developer specialized in embedded systems and SLAM. So let's talk with her about her experience in her first ROSCON. Welcome to the podcast, Drashti.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you, and my pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you again in person, So,
yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we met at the ROSCON, actually.
Right. So, that was actually incredible when I met you first time in person. The interaction that I had, that was amazing. So, thanks. Thank you.
It was our pleasure. So then we, for the audience, so we were at the ROSCON, and then we met there because you had already heard about us from the videos or the podcast and so on, and then we were chatting about that, and then I thought, oh, that's a very good person who can explain to the audience how she got into the ROSCON and what was her experience. And that's it.
It was a pleasure to talk with you and had interaction with the ROS and the Construct Studio. So that would be good. That was nice.
Great. So so let's learn a little bit more about you. And then the first question I would like to ask you is, what is this master that you are doing?
So right now I'm pursuing my master's in computer engineering at NJIT, New Jersey in United States. And part of my coursework is mainly based on embedded system, computer system architecture, networking, automation. And apart from that, the research work which I'm doing in my robotics and data lab, where specifically I have used ROS in my research work.
Okay, so Jen, you apply your master into robots, and you use ROS into those robots.
Robots, right?
And then
so I have.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have used like ROS for first of all to data acquisition, getting data from the sensors and mapping those data. And initially, that's how I started like working with ROS.
Okay. So first started small by doing recordings of the topics and so on, and then maybe moving into more complicated tasks like controlling the whole robot or something. Right. And how did you learn ROS? How? By yourself, or it was on the school that they taught you about it?
So no, actually before a year, I didn't know anything about ROS. Honestly, like it was a completely new. I know people were using ROS, but I haven't explored much ROS.
Okay.
So since I started working on a LiDAR system, I've used ROS, like ROS wiki pages, and honestly, the construct, the Robot Ignite Academy, that was the like. Whatever I know ROS because of that only, and the live classes, ROS developer classes that you were providing, that was just amazing. So I like try not to miss any of your videos.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's how I basically learned ROS and implemented like step by step and integrated the whole whatever I've learned. I just applied to the ground robots and in my research work basically.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, and then I have seen that is your experience. So you have started by applying to the sensors, collecting data, and have you already moved into the control of robots, in some sense?
Yes. So I was using SIG LiDAR. So firstly by data acquisition and mapping. Then I moved towards like converting those laser mapping into a point cloud. So laser map to a point cloud conversion. Then I did like obstacle detection using LiDAR. And my main goal was motion planning and LiDAR based obstacle detection on ground robots. So I put those LiDAR sensor on ground robots and integrated all this with like localization, perception, all those texts which were I learned from ROS. That's what I integrated. And so I successfully, like during the past summer, I successfully done SLAM mapping, indoor SLAM mapping with the ROS and with the LiDAR sensor.
Okay, using the navigation stack, the ROS navigation stack. Okay, but I have seen on your LinkedIn page that you are a teaching assistant, and it says about that you are teaching about drones.
Yes.
So how did you manage?
So it's the course is a drone science fundamental course, in which like we are teaching a quadrotor drone analysis, linear and non-linear navigation, like linear and non-linear control of drones, dynamics and kinetics control about the drone, and how to like the Federal Aviation Administration, all about this rule about the drones. So that's what we are teaching in that class.
Okay, and then, so as I understand by your explanation, then it's not so much about controlling drones to make that task, like, I don't know, path planning on the task, but more about the physics of the drones. Am I right?
Yeah. So no, it's about physics. Like initially, initially it was like a physics, like drone science theory. And then right now we are doing like motion planning control with the drone. Right. So it's a combination of both of them.
Okay. So so that makes sense. So you start with the physics and understand how a drone moves and behaves, and then to control. Okay.
Yes.
And do you use ROS for that?
So right now we are developing the content for undergrad students to for ROS basically, so how they can use. But so it's still in developing state, but we'll like definitely use in our next semester, next course, basically.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but not yet.
And one question: this course. So, what's the title of this course that you are delivering?
So basically, I'm a teaching assistant. I'm not teaching that course.
Okay.
My advisor, under whom I'm working in this robotics and data lab, he's my advisor, Dr. Pramod Abhichandani, and he is teaching that course, Drone Science Fundamentals.
Okay, okay. And you are just assistant. So yeah, so that's you are doing the hard work, and then he just gets the credit, you know, like I do in the live classes, because I go there and then show on the camera like it looks like I know, but then it's somebody else who is preparing the. Just joking, just making it. Don't want to put you in. No, just joking.
Right now, I could say like whatever I am, I didn't know like anything about ROS. So whatever I am knowing, ROS, robotics, all this is just because of him, because I'm working under his supervision, like in this lab. So I'm just really grateful to have such kind of advisor, like he's such inspiring and guiding me well.
Okay, I was just joking because I wanted to put myself in the same position, because we have so Christian at present. Christian, so is my teacher assistant, and then he is the one who is doing the hard work, and then I just go there with everything prepared, and so you know, so that's what's the name of your teacher? So let me.
Dr. Pramod Abhichandani.
Okay, so Dr. Pramod Abhichandani.
Abhichandani, yes.
Abhichandani. Okay, so Dr. Pramod Abhichandani. So I was just making a joke. If you are listening to this podcast, please just joking. I know that you are working very hard. Sorry. Then let's go to the subject of this podcast, of this episode. That is, why did you decide to attend the ROSCON?
ROSCON basically, when I was doing the research regarding this for my project, so I was like exploring the ROS wiki pages, and I see the post like ROSCON 2019, and so I just like open that page and see what it is, and I read the stuff, and it was like I was amazed with the companies. I like watched that planning and conference schedule. So, and there was a diversity scholarship option available over there. So I said like I've been working in this part, so I know some stuff. So like why don't I just apply and see what happens actually? So that was actually a great opportunity, great learning opportunity for me to meet ROS developers from all over around the world, and so that's how I applied like for the diversity scholarship, and luckily, I got selected. I got selected from the Open Robotics that they offered me this diversity scholarship. So.
Can you tell us more about this diversity scholarship for the audience that doesn't know what it is?
Oh yeah, so this ROS diversity scholarship, which is like open for everyone, like whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you are. If you have used ROS, or you just have like knowledge about ROS, or if you are interested in ROS, and if you want to like work on the ROS field, then this ROSCON organizing committee, they have provided this diversity scholarship for like people, like for every people, but like underrepresented group, but not limited to like women or LGBTQ people, but which was like for everyone who are working in the robotics. So their main aim was to like connect so as much people as they can in order to grow, in order to have a better like opportunity, better knowledge, or better learning outcomes, that I could say that people could have.
Okay, and then so the purpose of this scholarship is what you mentioned, is to provide those opportunities to people who are underrepresented to and with that have maybe also lower income or low opportunities to financial opportunities to get into the ROSCON. So they provide that, so those people can also attend. They are not just left behind because just they cannot pay, they have less opportunities. So okay, that's great. So you were selected for that. What did you have to do in order to get selected?
In order to get selected, I have to apply. Like I could post my work, whatever I did previously, work on ROS or like GitHub repository, everything, blogs. I just have to submit application, or there were like few questionnaires, like in which ROS part you've explored. So that was just a basic application, and I've submitted whatever I did in my research. I've submitted all my work, and yeah, I got selected.
Okay, very good. Congratulations. And then actually, so if I have understood, actually, so almost anybody can apply to this. Yeah?
Yes, definitely.
It's because it depends on how everybody is defining, which minority group is defined. So, but it's the committee the one that decides about that, isn't it?
Right. So they are, it's like that was the main motto actually. Whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you are, but if you are interested in this robotics, or if you want to learn, then you could just apply and see.
Great. And did you meet any other scholarships also there at the ROSCON?
Yeah, so there were like 34 students from 14 different countries.
Nice.
So yes, so
wow.
I had a like amazing opportunity to interact with those people. So what I was working in, I did share my experience. I also get to know like how people they were using, what research they are doing. Some people were just working, they were on your PhD. Some are working in the companies, some are just students like me. But how the different perspective or the different modules of ROS they were working on, that was like amazing and interesting. That I was like, so for one of the tasks, one of my friends, she was using, camera, sensors, and OpenCV for ROS. And honestly, I haven't worked on that part because I was working on the other LiDAR part. So I was like, so how do you do that? And I found that very interesting. So that way I learned like a lot from the people. And I could say that experience I never forgot in my life, and that I'll cherish forever. That I was so grateful to meet those people.
That's great. It's like they are opening you some other windows that you didn't know that they existed.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a stepping stone. Like so towards my career or towards this academy. Yeah.
And didn't you feel like what I mentioned before at the beginning of the podcast about that at the end of the day, you were receiving so many inputs from the very good speeches. So then discussing with your friends around about the different ways of doing things. And at the end, like your head is about to explode, isn't it?
Explode, yeah, that is correct. But that is how, so instead of, so there are like some perspective, we cannot learn everything from like videos and all. So it's good to have interaction with people who are working on these things, they are explaining. So it's a bit easier to learn or to just have a knowledge about a different topic.
Yes, yeah, of course, always the direct interaction is always the best, yes. I understand. Yeah. Okay, and then so you mentioned that your purpose was to meet other people and so on at the ROSCON. So your purpose for the ROSCON, okay? So you already mentioned. I don't know if you have more than one purpose. So you mentioned it's to meet other people that are working on the same field on ROS and interchange ideas and so on. Any other purpose that you have there? A specific purpose, or was just like that?
So other than that, my intent was like the companies which were coming at the ROSCON. There were so many companies, robotics companies that were there at ROSCON 2019, Macau. So I was like interested. I was interested in that which part of ROS they were using, and like how much content they are using in building products. Like how much part of ROS they are using to develop a particular product.
I see.
So yeah, so I went to the booth, all the booths. I've explored all the booths. I met different companies, different people, and I was amazed by the like outcome or like the knowledge that I got from the people from those companies, that the way they are using ROS, how they're interfacing, how the research part of what is important, what is not. So that's another thing that my main motive was, and which is successfully, I guess, which is quite successful to
Okay.
yeah after this event.
Okay.
And that the keynote speakers from that, like the basically the tracks, simulation and animation. There were two tracks during the ROSCON event. Multiple tracks were there, so that was kind of amazing. Like, so if I could switch between those two, yeah, and so that was really cool.
Okay. Did you have the chance to attend to the workshops that was on the previous day to starting the conference? There was a pre-day of workshops. Did you attend to any of them?
So unfortunately, I had my midterms exam, so I wasn't like I wasn't able to reach there on time. Yeah, so I didn't attend those workshop, but since they are uploaded, like they are on ROSCON 2019 live, so I could, yeah, I've like seen those workshops later.
Okay, yeah, so we actually delivered one about training, reinforcement learning training with ROS robots using OpenAI reinforcement learning algorithms, and we have uploaded this on YouTube, so you can watch it later if you are interested. Okay, no. And then you mentioned about these things about the robot, the companies, and the parts that they are doing using ROS and which was not, and why. So when you were interviewing the people on the booth, learning about that, then yeah, I have to tell you that maybe if you only visit those booths at the ROSCON, then maybe you will be a little bit biased. Because of course that's a ROSCON, and then all the companies there, they are showing their products that work with ROS. So maybe you can have a vision that is too biased towards ROS. So for the next time, for the next year, what I recommend you is that you go to the IROS also, because ROSCON is up to now has been the 2 days before the IROS conference. IROS conference is a very important conference in robotics, about research in robotics. So they are on the same place as ROSCON, but 2 days later. So you can, if you have the chance, I mean, if you have the time, the money, and so on, then you can stay for another day later and go to these IROS and also visit the booths of the companies there, because you will get a wider perspective. You will see that some other companies, they don't use ROS, and then you can ask them why not, what are the problems, and so.
All right, yeah. So I'll definitely, if I get a chance next year, then I'll definitely gonna do that.
Well, next year in theory is going to be in Las Vegas. In theory, it's still not confirmed, okay, but it's closer to you.
Right, yeah. So yeah, that will be awesome.
Okay, Jen. So would you say that you achieved your goal by attending to the ROSCON?
Definitely more than I thought of. So after coming over there, I was like overwhelmed by the outcomes and learning perspective in all of the terms. And at there, I have like also learned different terms which I've never heard of. Or which I have never worked on, like Open Embedded with ROS. How can I interface that with WebOS? So that part, I like. So that thing is still in my mind, and I'll definitely gonna work on that thing because since I'm right now working on embedded system, and that's what my major is. So yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay,
definitely
so
my goal is fulfilled. Yeah.
Okay, you fulfilled. Very good. Jen, can you tell us what was the best thing for you of attending the ROSCON?
So yeah, I would gonna say the same thing. What I liked most about this Open Embedded with ROS and with WebOS, the integration of all these three tasks, as well as I also like the talk or talk from the rover robotics. They have like migrating to ROS2. They have mentioned, so yeah, migrating to ROS2. So in that presentation, they have defined like distinguishes between ROS1, ROS2, which are the pros and cons, which one to use, not. So I like that interesting, as well as the slam part they have mentioned in the first day of the conference.
Which lab? Which one?
Slam.
Slam. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, by Samsung Research America.
Yeah.
G mapping and hacker slam. So he represented in very depth knowledge. So I was like, yeah, that was really great.
Okay, and then what do you think that can be improved in the ROSCON? So what do you think that the organizers can improve on the next edition?
So I really like the ROS organizing committee, the way they are like welcoming all of us. That was really great. I have like never had such enthusiastic and like this warm welcoming towards all of the students and people. So I'm pretty much like, I pretty much like everything about the ROSCON, but what I could say, I think the lightning talks, so it wasn't limited towards like 2 to 3 minutes. So if we had like a few more minutes, or if we had like a few more time, then we could have like represent our research work like in more perspective or in more details. Other than that, like it was, yeah, everything was fine. Like, yeah.
Okay, can you explain to the audience what are the lightning talks at the conference?
So the lightning talks were basically, it was a 2 to 3 minute talks, and the students who diversity scholarship students or people who are attending ROSCON, they are basically presenting their research work. We had a chance basically to represent a research work in terms of audience, in terms of to all our audience and with companies. So we had a chance to represent our work.
Yeah, so it's on the spot. It's on the spot. So
like on the spot.
So you go there. You don't have a track for your presentation. Right. It's just a track that is called the lightning talk, and then you get the chance, because there is a lot of people who wants to go into the lightning talk. So there is a lottery for all the people, and then if you get lucky, then you can go. Did you present anything? Did you?
No. I didn't get a chance to present it, but
Okay, next time.
Yep. Hopefully.
Okay, so then here it goes by my thing to improve for the next ROSCON is to provide more coffee time. More coffee time.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's because I was the people came, so I was in our booth at the construct booth at the ROSCON, and then I was talking to the people and explain. Of course, that's why we are there. But then during the coffee break, so I was there. But then everyone then just left for the talks, for the speeches, for the sessions, and then I went, okay, that's my time to go to coffee, and then I went there, but it was already closed,
Right.
So that's my recommendation: more coffee time. And what about a couple of questions more, okay? And then we finish. Then, do you have any experience in ROS2?
So I haven't much worked on ROS2. I have been working on ROS Melodic for my research work. But from that ROSCON, I have a perspective in my mind that how could I switch from ROS1 to ROS2, and I know the pros and cons behind it. Where can I put ROS2 in my research work? So I am definitely going to work on ROS2 in the future, ROS dashing. And
Okay. So then if you're interested, I can send you a ROSject. It's a ROS project that you can reproduce on your machine, and that it's about a presentation that was done during the ROS Developers Conference in July. Okay. It's a online conference that we organized, the organizers. Yes. And then there was a Ludovic, who is a French guy, who also created a project teaching with all the instructions about teaching how to transfer a Python node from ROS1 into ROS2. Yeah, so it's quite interesting because it starts with the basics and then it goes step by step, and then you can reproduce his explanation and do it yourself. So if you are interested, I can send you this. Let me write a note here.
Sure, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to add a note here of ROS1 to ROS2. Okay, then, okay, so let's finish with another question, that is, which are your robotics goals for the future?
Oh, all right. So I have, I could say I have worked on the ground robots. I have been working on drones. So, and as embedded system is my major, I am mainly, I like to work on a sensor interfacing, sensor data analysis. And I have find like on ROS wiki pages, there were like ROS topics, were there, like they were just providing all the, for different sensors. So what I did until now is I was just using those those ROS topics I was just using those ROS topics, but I haven't like much contribute towards creating the packages, ROS topic, ROS packages. So what I'm mainly interested towards is like I'll work on different sensors, vision sensor, perception sensors, and all other like, and I intended to hopefully I'll like create a few more packages and launch it on like ROS wiki pages, so it would be like helpful to others as well. And yeah, so that's what my interest is. And I also wanted to explore OpenCV and the ROS part, that and open embedded. So I'll be working on those part in the future.
Okay, very good, very good. So I wish you the best of luck. So on that, I'm sure that you are going to enjoy a lot, because those subjects are amazing, super interesting. Have you thought about the fusing sensor data?
Yeah, so I haven't worked on that, but I've been working on LiDAR and ground robots separately, and recently I'm working on cameras and a ground robots. So like by this in like future, like by the end of this year, I'll be probably going to do that sensor fusion with the LiDARs and cameras with the ground robots, and then later on with the drones. Okay,
you can apply. There is already a ROS node, which is maintained by the people of ClearPath Robotics. You know that company, ClearPath? So they have created an amazing package that is called robot localization. And basically they have there a package that allows you to fuse many different information in order to provide a better localization of the robot. So you can fuse the information from the cameras, from the LiDAR, from an IMU, from a GPS, everything, odometry. You put everything there together, and then it crunches with a Kalman filter that is implemented in the inside, and then it produces a better localization. So I recommend you to have a look at that, in case that you...
Definitely. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Okay, so that's all for this interview. Thank you very much, Drashti. It was a pleasure to meet you in person there, and then to have the chance to talk here.
Pleasure is on mine, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks for this opportunity.
Okay, wish you the best of luck, and see you around the world on the next conferences.
Sure. I look forward for it.
Great. Thank you. And that is all for today. Listeners, please, if you are there, leave us a review in iTunes telling us what you think about the podcast, what you like, what you don't like. And it's very important also that you give us your 5 stars in iTunes, so we can go up in the podcast list of the most listened. And so that's all for today. So see you the next week with a new lesson from the experts. And until then, keep pushing your ROS learning.